Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to What's Your Take? My name is Dayo Akintobi, and I'll be taking you through the major stories that made the headlines yesterday and today. Joining me to bring you those stories today is our newscaster, Yetunde Afolabi. Good morning, Yetunde. How are you today?
Good morning, Dayo. I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. I hope the rain didn't, that torrential downpour overnight didn't hamper your ability to get to work today.
No, it didn't. I'm quite glad it rained.
Yes, it made everywhere a lot cooler, and so sleep was sweeter, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes, at least I hope your roof didn't blow off like some other people we've read about this morning.
No, it did not.
And there are branches and trees all in the streets that you have to navigate your way around so your car doesn't get stuck, because apparently it was so windy that it felled some trees and brought down branches, and there were floods. The key thing is we're about getting into the rainy season now, and yesterday was just a small example of what is yet to come. So we should all be prepared for a major rainy season this year, and of course government should clear all the drainages. We too should clear our gutters to make sure that water can flow freely, so we don't have to contend with floods and start bailing water out of our living rooms and stopping our furniture from floating all over the place. All right, very good. Okay, so that's a fair warning to all of us, especially those of us living in low-lying areas, to be careful this rainy season. On a lighter note, last week we saw Aisha Buhari, the First Lady, the outgoing First Lady, showing the incoming First Lady around the villa. We're not quite sure what rooms they inspected together, but one would imagine that it was more of the domestic side of things. The irony of the issue, though, is that the incoming president and the outgoing president, who should also have been taking a joint tour of the administrative aspect of the villa, are both out of the country at the same time. With about 2 weeks to go to inauguration and handover, neither of them is in the country, and so the male aspect of the presidency has not been able to do his own tour yet. So kudos to the ladies, the first ladies, incoming, outgoing, for showing up the men as they have always done. Our women are always on the ball. They're always getting things done on time. Us men are the ones who are tardy. So let's hope the outgoing president and the incoming president will get back in time enough to give their own tour of Aso Rock Villa so that the transition can be seamless. The other thing that's a big story is this cook-off, this Guinness Book of Records cookathon in Lekki with a Nigerian named Hilda Bassi, who is seeking to break, or has actually broken, the existing record for the longest non-stop cooking exercise in the world today. Hilda is a 27-year-old Nigerian chef who decided to take on this challenge, and she's been doing it from Lekki for the last 4 days, since last Thursday, and this morning she has broken the record and is still going on for another several hours to reach her target of 96 hours. Well, Governor Sanwo-Olu has visited, President-elect Tinubu, Atiku, and I think even President Buhari have all, even Vice President Osinbajo have all called her to encourage her, and she is a pride to Nigeria. In fact, just recently we've seen so many Nigerians featuring on the global stage and making Nigeria proud. It was Tiwa Savage last week. Today it's Hilda Bassi. Tomorrow it will be somebody else, but we're all proud of our youth and all Nigerians who are making a name for our country, doing us proud, and building this brand called Nigeria. Kudos to you all. God bless your efforts. All right, having dispatched with the lighter items on our agenda, it's time to delve into the substance of today's program. And for that, I will hand you over to our trusty sidekick and well-regarded newscaster, Yetunde, to give us the headlines of the major stories we'll be looking at today. Yetunde, over to you.
Thank you, Dayo. Hello and welcome to the news update on What's Your Take. First, the headlines. Outrage as Seun Kuti slaps policeman. IG orders his arrest. Grant us NAS leadership or we'll withdraw support from party. Government, North says. Next, defection fears hits APC. Northern and Southwest leaders intervene, shop for dark horses. Adamu under pressure to convene a NEC meeting. Tinubu allies Wu, Bode George. concentrate on seamless examination, not revenue generation, stakeholders tell JAMB. Now, the details. Our first story today is breaking social media, which is awash with users' outrage at the action of popular musician Seun Kuti, who was filmed assaulting a policeman on the 3rd Mainland Bridge, Lagos State. While many Nigerians have expressed disappointment at Kuti's action, others have asked that he be prosecuted for his action. Next, hundreds of Northerners who converged on the Arewa House in Kaduna on Friday threatened to withdraw support for the government and the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, unless the North is given the leadership of the National Assembly and other ministerial appointments. The Northerners attend a one-day roundtable on nation building and democracy with the theme, The Imperative of Participation, Equity and Equitable Development of Northern Nigeria, powered by the Democratic Research Institute, DRI. Moving on, there were concerns at the weekend within the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, that the party could lose control of the National Assembly following subtle threats by aggrieved aspirants for leadership positions in the 10th Assembly to ditch the APC. According to the Vanguard News reports, this came to light on Sunday when Vanguard learned that some northern and southwestern statesmen, including 2 former heads of states and traditional rulers, had waded into the rancor and spoken with some key lawmakers-elect to reduce the tension the matter has created in the polity. Also, following his prolonged frosty relationship with the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democracy Party, PDP, Chief Olabode George, weekend, said he bears no grudge against the former Lagos State Governor. He made this known while he was visited by some members of the APC who wants to reconcile Bode George and the President-elect. And finally, according to a report by independent newspapers, stakeholders have expressed their dissatisfaction with the hitches candidates experience in the course of registering and writing their exams. The board was encouraged to concentrate on the conduct of a seamless and stress-free examination, rather than prioritizing fund generation as its primary concern. And those are the headline news stories we'll be looking at today. Over to you, Dayo.
All right. Thank you very much here today, folks. As usual, as we always do, we shall take a short break now. And when we return to the studio, I'll be joined by my co-anchor who will be looking at today's major stories with me. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Dayo. Myself and Dayo will be taking a look at the major stories that made the headlines this morning. How are you doing today, Dayo?
Very well, thank you, Monisola. How did you fare this morning getting to work after the downpour? I hope the rain didn't beat you bedraggled and get you wet getting to work.
Well, I wasn't great, but getting to the studio this morning was a little bit of, like much difficult than usual, yes. And the roads are a mess, there's traffic everywhere, and this is worrying because the rains are not even here proper. So what's going to happen when we get into the raining season properly? I mean, it's worrying.
Yes, it is a concern, and we look forward to the Lagos State government doing something about traffic management and about free-flowing floodwaters so that we all don't get hampered by the fact that rains will fall. This is a natural phenomenon because it occurs every time, the same time every year. So it shouldn't continue to be a perennial issue of giving challenges to the residents of Lagos State. All right, what stories do you have for us today so we can banter and talk about them and help our audience make sense of what's going on in the country today?
All right, moving on to the major stories that we're going to be discussing today. First on my list, a 12 seconds video of Seun Kuti, the son of Afrobeat legend Fela Kuti, surfaced on the internet on Saturday. And in the video, he was seen assaulting a policeman. Now, the IG has called for his arrest. Dayo, what are your thoughts on this issue? Seun said the policeman put his life and that of his family at risk. So in a recent development, Femi Falana is set to defend Seun Kuti in court. What do you think?
Well, this is a bad situation any which way you look at it. Seun was completely out of line as far as I'm concerned. And there is no basis for you to take the law into your own hands for any reason whatsoever except your life is in immediate threat, is under immediate threat, and you have to do what they call self-defense. But on your own, for you to strike a fellow human being, not even to talk about a police officer. I mean, I had a situation recently in our community where a lady and a gentleman had an altercation, and the lady pushed the man, and the man came back and slapped her. And the man got charged, despite the fact that the woman was a provocateur. The man was the one who got charged for assault. They didn't even consider the fact that the woman pushed him first, but the fact that the man raised his hand and struck her, he got the assault charge. So I think what the law says basically is that you cannot hit another human being for any reason whatsoever. So whatever may have transpired before Seun slapped the police officer is irrelevant in the eyes of the law. What is relevant to the law is the fact that he took the law into his own hand, he raised his hand and hit another human being. Let alone the fact that he was now a uniformed officer who is the symbol of authority for law and order in Nigeria. And I have to give a lot of kudos to that police officer because he was extremely calm. He could have reacted. If he reacted the same way Seun reacted, then the situation could have escalated to who knows what could have been the ultimate outcome. So I give kudos to the police officer. He was obviously very well trained. He was very restrained and calm. He didn't attempt to... The thing I did notice is Seun was very, very angry. And I don't think his anger stemmed from just that incident. I think he's had a building up anger in him that took a little something to just trigger.
Well, we did not get to see the beginning of the incident, so no, it was not captured. We can't really say what went down or if he was, just reacting based on
we don't know.
Built up anger, like you said.
No, we don't know, and that's why that's what the courts are there for. They've said they're going to charge him to court, so evidence will come out.
Yeah, he said he's got evidence.
Yes, but from what we've seen so far, and you are right, one should never judge. I'm an advocate of the fact that you have to understand the full context, because sometimes if you're just seeing a short part of a video, you may not understand the full story as it played out. So I'm one who never tries to take positions based on seeing a short part of a video without hearing this whole story or without hearing both parts. So ultimately when they get to court, he will get to tell his own side of the story. But for me, the bottom line is, no matter what may have led to that incident, the worst thing he could have ever done was to raise his hand and strike that officer, because there's no justification for that whatsoever except in defense of his life. And to give him credit, he did say, "Are you trying to kill me?" We heard him say that on the video. "Are you trying to kill me?" But what we saw in the video does not support the fact that the officer was the aggressor. Our understanding is perhaps there was contact between his vehicle and the officer's vehicle, whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is that as Nigerian citizens who are all bound by the law and the Constitution, remember, the law that we operate is a reflection of our collective values. It is the rules and regulations by which we have all agreed to live together that is codified into a body of laws that's called the Constitution. So, bottom line, whether a police or an ordinary citizen, none of us has the right to raise our hand and strike another human being. So he has done that, there will be consequences. However, when we get to a judicial panel of inquiry, the court, other things may come out. I mean, Femi Falana has said he's taking up the case. He will believe that Seun will be exonerated at the end of the day. We'll see how that goes. But the thing for me is, Seun comes from a long line of musicians and activists. He himself has been very vocal in protesting about injustices and things that are wrong in the society. However, his father used his music as his weapon of protest.
Well, I think we should wait for the decision of the court. Well, moving on to the next story, there is a massive tussle for leadership in the National House of Assembly amongst the ruling All Progressives Congress. Now, a period that seems over-politicized. Now, the North is saying that since they are not in control of the executive and the judiciary, they should have the leadership of the National Assembly. What do you think of the Northerners' demand?
Well, when you look at it for real, actually, the executive is led by the Southwest, right? The judiciary is led by the Southwest. Chief Judge is from the Southwest. President-elect from the Southwest. And the third branch of government is the legislature. So they are saying if the Southwest is already the president in the executive and the judiciary is already in the Southwest, how can you not give the legislator to the south, to any South at all, whether it's South or Southeast? How can you do that? Because now it means that the South is in control of all three branches of government. That's not fair. Now, to further buttress their argument, the Northerners are saying that they delivered the largest number of votes to the APC, about 60-something%, out of the 8.7 million votes that President-elect Tinubu won in the presidential election. The North, the three zones, North Central, Northeast, and Northwest, gave 5-point-something million, which translates to 60+%. So they are saying that we played the largest role in APC coming to power. And so, by virtue of the voters' choice, the presidency has gone to the Southwest. By virtue of seniority, the judiciary is in the Southwest. So now, internally, where we can make a decision, it's only fair for equity, justice, and fairness that the North should lead the National Assembly. So for them to now be saying the Senate presidency will go to the South, the Deputy Senate presidency will go to the North, they are not happy with that. They think it is inequitable and it marginalizes the North based on the proportion of support that the North gave APC.
Well, in this outgoing administration, we can see something like that. The North are like in control. But this incoming administration too, the Vice President is from the North. The Speaker is from the North. So what do you think? Don't you think the North is asking for too much?
Well, they're anchoring their grievance on the amount of support they gave to the candidacy of the president. That, look, we were responsible for him being elected because we gave him the majority of the votes. So we should have a bigger say. Don't look at what happened in the past government, because in the past government, those who are in power then were okay with the distribution. But those who are there now are saying they are not happy with the distribution. So to each his own. If those people in the past were okay with it, we are not okay with it. So the bottom line is we think we should be rewarded for our efforts in bringing the president-elect to power. And by the current micro-zoning they have done, it's not fair to the North, and that's the agitation.
So do you think that rewarding political positions based on what you're able to get for the party is okay? Well,
in politics, there's horse trading. It's all about you give me this in exchange for this. So there has to be some consideration given. I mean, even President Buhari, when he first came in, one of the things he said when he first came in 2015 was, a part of the country only gave me 5% of their vote. Another part of the country only gave me 95%. Do you think I will give equal attention to the people who gave me 5% as those who gave me 95%? So in politics, consideration is always given to those who supported you to get into office. Otherwise, you look back and you won't see them behind you anymore, and that becomes a problem, which is what the North is saying is, if you don't commensurately reward our contribution, we won't support you. In fact, we may even defect to another party.
And you think this is fair on other zones in the country?
Well, it's not an issue of fairness. It's the way politics works. Politics has to do with deals, coalitions, alliances, trade-offs. If a particular candidate has not made a particular promise to a particular constituency and said, if you support me, if you throw your weight behind me, if you give me the necessary votes, I will compensate you so. So they go out and they work for his candidacy. Commensurately, they should be rewarded. I'm not saying that the proper reward is to just throw the National Assembly leadership to them. It could be ministerial appointments, it could be ambassadorial appointments, it could be contracts for roads and bridges in the north. There are various ways to compensate political support, but you don't just turn your back on the people who brought you into office. Let's move on to the next.
Great scrutiny inside Mr. Dayo Akintobi. So there are concerns that the ruling party could lose its power in the National Assembly. You know, in 2011 and 2015, there was a dramatic turn of events in the National Assembly, which led to Tambuwa and Dogara being voted in as speakers, respectively. And do you think there's a possibility of a repeat of same event?
That's interesting, because the situation we find ourselves in today, the ruling APC party has only 170-something representatives elect, while the opposition, 5 or 6 parties, if you add their votes together, it's about 183. So, although the APC is the majority, but when you add all the opposition, the minority, when you add them all together, they have more than APC has. So, and also, there are some aggrieved people in APC who are not happy with the way the position have been micro-zoned, and the fact that the president-elect and the NWC is imposing specific candidates. So there are some APC people who are saying, no, you shouldn't have a say at all. The APC, NWC, and the president-elect, it is us that should choose our leaders by ourselves, so you can't impose. So there are some who, if the APC insists on going with these people it has microzone and selected, there are some who will vote against those people. So you already have 183 from all the other parties. If they can stick together as a unified voting bloc, if they stick together as a unified voting bloc and a few of the APC people vote with them, it will be easy for them to choose their own candidate, where, like exactly what happened with Dogara and Tambuwal in 2011 and 2015. So care has to really be taken. The APC has to move quickly to, I mean, the chairman of the APC, Adamu, has said, we will revisit this issue. I think they should revisit it. I think they should try and reconcile the aggrieved parties. And most of all, they should not be insistent upon the fact that these are the people we want. These are the people we choose. Let those people go and lobby their colleagues and let them persuade their colleagues, and may the best man win. That's the only guarantee at this point.
Well said, Dayo. So Bode George has been a major critic of the president-elect and has threatened to go on exile if Tinubu becomes Nigeria's president over the years. Now, he said he was going to relocate to, Ghana should Tinubu wins. Why do you think the APC is making this move? He was visited over the weekend by some APC members just to reconcile himself and the president-elect.
Well, Bode George is a major force in Lagos politics, and you have to remember that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, is also from Lagos State. So, if he's able to turn Bode George to become a supporter rather than an opponent, it will be a big catch for him, because Bode George has been one of his biggest critics from the days of PDP government. When Bola Ahmed Tinubu was governor of Lagos State, Bode has continuously and vociferously and relentlessly criticized Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his person, his character, his politics, his emperor-like approach to politics. So if they can not only just silence him but win him over to the APC side, to at least keep him quiet from the criticism of the president, it's a major coup for the APC. Remember, they are both Lagosians. So to get the support of a Bode George opposition, but also from the same state, that means the state is now unified in support of the president-elect. So it'll be a big catch for them.
Wow. Well said. So moving on to the next story, about 80,000 candidates could not sit the 2023 UTME within their scheduled time, owing to no fault of theirs, and had to sit the rescheduled UTME across the country. Now, the Joint Administration Board is the sole body responsible for matriculating students into the university. Now, the exercise occurs annually. Students pay to write these exams every year, but every year there are always records of technical glitches, students who could not sit for their exams, to mention but a few. Now, where is JAMB getting it wrong?
It's possible JAMB bit off more than they can chew with this drive to go electronic. You know, under the current administration led by Professor Oloyede, former VC of University of Ilorin, when he came in, he moved away from paper exams to computer-based testing, fully 100%. Nobody writes JAMB with paper anymore. Yeah. It's all by computer, and they registered several hundred CBT centers across the country. But they've done it kind of like this whole notion of the BVAS, where you have to, when you register for JAMB and you pay, they have to capture your biometrics. Then when you're going into the exam hall, they accredit you through your biometrics. Well, that system has had hitches, but I don't quite understand why, because at least with BVAS, we didn't have too many hitches, and BVAS had more people registering for the election than JAMB has for exams. So the technology is the same. Capture is capture, accreditation with the same databases. So I don't understand why, but that has been the problem. JAMB has had problems with this technology in terms of registering people, in terms of verifying who is who on exam day, in terms of being able to sometimes, in some cases, even log on to the computer to type in your answers to. So the technology is failing. But what the major complaint is that the current JAMB administration is more focused on revenue generation. Because you know there was a big thing about, JAMB remitted so many billion to the federal government coffers for the first time in the history of its existence, and everybody celebrated and the hoopla was loud, and of course maybe egos got bloated and things like that. And yes, we've proven that there was corruption in the previous system and all that, but in the drive to generate more and more revenue for the government, it seems they have compromised on the robustness of the technology that makes it difficult to deliver seamless examination. So the complaint now is that, look, the efficacy of the examination process is more important. We prefer for all our students to be able to take this exam and get into university and get on with their lives than for you to make money for the federal government. That JAMB is not supposed to be a revenue generating agency, not like NEPA, not like MPA, Ports Authority, or like the FIRS, Internal Revenue. JAMB is to deliver a service, and for that service it charges a cost that should go towards covering the cost of the service. It's not for profit to be delivering money to the government. So if the bottom line is that the money you are delivering to the government is compromising the quality of the service, and so your core focus is to get people admitted into university, not make money for the government.
Great insight, Dayo. That is where we must rest it today, as we've run out of time. Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you, Dayo, for joining us. It's been an engaging time in the studio this morning. Thank you, Nigeria, for being a part of today's program. Join us again next time as we bring to you trend chart analysis of the breaking news that made the headlines today and every day. My name is Monisola Abosede. Have a great day.